So imagine you're standing in your office break room. You're leaning against the counter.
Classic break room scenario.
Yeah, and you are watching a colleague, let's call him the ultimate company veteran, right? He's eating a slice of that standard grocery store sheet cake on his very last day before retirement.
Oh, yeah. We all know that cake.
We do. And he has his little cardboard box of desk items. He shakes a few hands and he walks out the front door. But here is the staggering thought experiment I want you to start with today for this deep dive.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine that as he walks out, he is actively carrying a briefcase holding a sizable chunk of a $47 trillion global asset. And the company is literally just letting him walk away with it.
I mean, it is a genuinely terrifying visual when you frame it exactly like that.
Right.
Because you aren't talking about stolen equipment or embezzled funds here. You are talking about the completely invisible, unquantifiable weight of human experience.
Yeah.
And historically, we've just kind of accepted that this loss is the inevitable cost of doing business when generations turn over. Like, oh, well, you retired, what can you do?
But that exact crisis, this kind of invisible heist of the retiring workforce, is what we are unpacking in today's deep dive.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. So we are looking at a stack of incredibly fascinating sources from April 2026. Specifically, we have a launch announcement and some pretty dense, highly technical white paper excerpts from EON Reality and EON AI Ventures.
Yeah, they just launched a new platform called EON Field IQ.
Right. And our mission today is to figure out how they are using this really sophisticated combination of artificial intelligence and wearable tech to literally download the operational knowledge of retiring experts.
And then, importantly, immediately distribute it to a brand new generation of workers.
Exactly, because we are looking at a profound shift in how corporate memory is structured.
Yeah, I mean, the whole paradigm is moving away from preserving knowledge in static formats.
Right.
Like those dusty 3-ring binders sitting on a shelf in a control room somewhere.
Oh man, the binders. Nobody reads those.
Nobody reads them. So the shift is moving to preserving it dynamically, mapping it to the physical world in real time.
So whether you are managing a team right now, or maybe working in the tech sector, or if you're just fascinated by the future of work, this deep dive is going to fundamentally change how you view the looming brain drain.
It really reframes the whole problem.
It does. We are going to explore how this demographic cliff is forcing a radical evolution in how human expertise is captured. But let's actually start by contextualizing the sheer scale of the demographic cliff these industries are falling off.
Right, because before we even touch the AI technology, the macroeconomics here are just startling.
They really are. Give us the numbers.
Well, the numbers in these sources paint a picture of a structural crisis that has been, honestly, quietly compounding for decades. By the year 2030, 73 million baby boomers will have retired.
Wow, 73 million.
Yeah, it is a massive exodus of human capital. And the white paper puts a really specific number on what those individuals are taking with them. On average, each one of those retiring experts is walking out the door with 35 years of operational knowledge.
And, that 35 years isn't just time served. It's not just punching a clock.
No, not at all.
It is this hyper-specific, deeply nuanced understanding of incredibly complex systems. And when you aggregate that level of mastery on a global scale the value of that at-risk knowledge is estimated at $47 trillion.
Trillion, with a T.
Right. And the industries facing the absolute sharpest edge of this crisis, they aren't places where a mistake just means a delayed marketing email.
Or a typo in a quarterly report.
Exactly. We are talking about complex, high-stakes environments, oil and gas, aviation, critical energy infrastructure, advanced manufacturing.
The heavy hitters.
The heavy hitters. And in these sectors, the loss of this undocumented expertise is directly leading to a measurable rise in procedural errors.
Yeah, compliance violations, serious safety incidents.
Because the underlying issue here is the fundamental difference between explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge.
That's a really crucial distinction to make.
Walk us through it.
Sure. So explicit knowledge is what you find in a standard operating procedure document. It's the sterile, mechanical steps of a task. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that.
Pretty straightforward.
Right. But tacit knowledge is the unwritten experiential intuition that a worker develops over 3 decades. It's knowing that a specific vibration in a turbine means a bearing is about to fail.
Even if the digital readouts are perfectly normal.
Exactly. The computer says everything is fine, but the 30-year veteran says, nope, shut it down.
I think the best way for you, the listener, to visualize this tacit knowledge is to think of the grandma's secret recipe problem.
Oh, I love this analogy.
Right. So you ask your grandmother for a famous cookie recipe, and she writes down, like, add flour until it feels right.
Or bake it until it smells done.
Yes. That is entirely tacit knowledge.
Which is, let's be honest, completely useless to a novice baker.
Completely. I'd burn them immediately. And if a novice relies on a manual that lacks that 35 years of unwritten instinctual shorthand, the industrial equivalent of add flour until it feels right, you aren't just ruining a batch of cookies.
No, the stakes are way higher.
You are causing escalated costs, massive operational slowdowns, and potentially disastrous safety failures on an offshore oil rig.
And the traditional solutions just don't work anymore.
Like classroom lectures.
Yeah, or shadowing a senior employee for a few weeks, or just reading updated manuals. They're simply too slow.
Right.
And they entirely miss the depth and the nuance of that tacit experience. Furthermore, modern infrastructure is exponentially more complex today than it was 30 years ago when these veterans started.
Oh, definitely. Everything is digital now.
Right. We've transitioned from purely mechanical systems to highly interconnected cyber-physical systems. So the consequences of even minor errors are heavily amplified by this modern complexity.
The margin for error is effectively zero.
It's literally zero. This is no longer just an HR problem isolated to hiring and onboarding metrics. It is a severe operational crisis demanding a structural, technological solution.
So that sets up the fundamental challenge perfectly. If the traditional training manual cannot capture the feel or the instinct of a 35-year veteran's work, we have to look at how this tech company is proposing to extract that unwritten knowledge.
Before the retirement party.
Right, before they eat the cake. This brings us to step one of the EON Field IQ process, which the white paper calls Capture the Expert.
It's a great name.
It is. They use a platform called EON Genesis. The sources describe it as an AI-powered system that facilitates sessions to extract operational knowledge.
Pulling out the edge cases, the situational nuances.
And all those unwritten shortcuts. Essentially, it takes a veteran's brain and turns it into a structured, step-by-step digital library.
Yeah, it creates a comprehensive knowledge graph. It maps out the complex web of decisions, inputs, and physical actions that constitute real mastery of a specific task.
Okay, let's unpack this mechanism for a second because I actually have to push back a little here.
Sure, go for it.
I am picturing a gruff 30-year veteran of an energy plant.
Oh, we all know the type.
Right. This is someone who works with their hands, who probably hates filling out bureaucratic paperwork.
Definitely hates paperwork.
And who operates entirely on muscle memory. Handing that person a microphone and asking them to accurately explain an instinctual split-second edge case to an artificial intelligence. I mean, that sounds like a recipe for a very short, very frustrating conversation.
That friction point right there is exactly why previous attempts at knowledge capture have failed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they relied on recall rather than recognition. Human memory, especially muscle memory and operational expertise, is highly associative.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning we often don't know what we know until we are prompted by a specific environmental trigger. If you simply ask a veteran to write down everything they know, they will give you a very generic, high-level overview.
Because they can't remember the little things out of context.
Right. They literally cannot access the tacit knowledge without the context.
I see. So the AI needs to provide that environmental trigger.
Exactly.
It acts as an active interrogator mapping out a decision tree, rather than just acting as a passive tape recorder.
That is the core innovation of the EON Genesis sessions.
Yeah.
The AI is trained to probe associatively.
Give me an example of what it would ask.
So it will ask the veteran something like, when you adjust this specific pressure valve during sub-zero temperatures, what auditory anomalies are you listening for?
Oh, wow. That's incredibly specific.
Or, if the primary gauge fluctuates while you are tightening this housing, what is the very first compensatory action you take?
So it's actively pulling on those threads of associative memory.
Yes. It forces the veteran to articulate the unwritten shortcuts and sensory cues they probably didn't even consciously realize they were utilizing.
It translates the tacit knowledge into explicit data. It structures that raw conversational expertise into a permanent step-by-step digital library, and it captures the exact nuance that the traditional manual always misses.
Which is brilliant.
But that leads directly into the next massive hurdle.
Yes, it does.
Having a perfect, structured digital library of procedures sitting on a centralized server is honestly totally useless if a field worker is dangling off a wind turbine.
Or holding a heavy wrench in both hands in the mud.
Exactly. They cannot stop to pull out a smartphone or flip through a ruggedized tablet to find the right PDF.
No, of course not.
So how does this platform actually get the knowledge out of the digital library and into the physical environment of the new hire?
This is where we move from knowledge capture to spatial computing. This covers steps 2 and 3 of the EON Field IQ process,
Which are?
deliver knowledge and verify and comply. This is where the hardware layer becomes critical. The workers are equipped with AI smart glasses powered by the EON platform.
Okay, step 2 is all about that delivery. The glasses superimpose actionable step-by-step instructions directly onto the worker's field of view.
Right.
And to give you, the listener, the quickest shorthand for this, think of a video game heads-up display or a HUD.
Yeah, that's the perfect analogy.
If you've played a game where the exact object you need to interact with is highlighted in your field of vision, this is the industrial application of that concept. But instead of learning to play a game, you are looking at a multi-million-dollar aviation engine.
And the glasses are overlaying a digital twin of the component, guiding your hands through a complex repair procedure.
That's wild.
The technical term is an augmented reality overlay driven by spatial computing. So the system understands the 3D geometry of the physical space the worker is in.
So it's not just a flat screen in the corner of your eye.
No, not at all.
Right.
It anchors the digital instructions to the physical world. It points an arrow at the exact bolt that needs to be turned. And crucially, the sources note that this works entirely hands-free.
Which totally solves the wrench problem we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. You literally just wear them and do the work.
Now, the sources also highlight a major logistical detail here, which is that this delivery system functions even in offline remote locations.
That is a massive deal.
It radically changes the deployment model, right? Because you aren't always going to have a perfect 5G connection when you are inspecting an offshore pipeline.
Or working deep inside a subterranean facility.
Right. So the glasses clearly utilize edge computing to process the spatial tracking and the knowledge graph locally on the device itself.
Edge computing is absolutely vital for operational resilience here. But, the element that elevates this from being just a sophisticated training tool to an actual enterprise imperative is step 3.
Verify and comply.
Yes. This utilizes a feature called EON Assess IQ. The smart glasses are actually equipped with embedded cameras.
Okay.
So as the worker performs the task, the system isn't just projecting information outward, it is actively ingesting visual data inward.
So if it has a camera, it's not just a display. It's basically an active auditor.
Yeah.
It's watching you work and ticking the boxes to say, yep, the worker tightened that specific bolt to the exact specification and they did it in the correct sequence.
It utilizes real-time computer vision to verify every single procedural step. It automatically generates a compliance record and an immutable audit trail.
Which means no more managers with clipboards.
Exactly. It eliminates the need for a human supervisor to physically stand over the worker's shoulder. From a corporate liability perspective, this is revolutionary.
I can imagine.
It automatically mitigates the risk of regulatory fines and costly incidents by ensuring that the procedure is executed flawlessly every single time.
It transforms the hardware into a real-time risk management system. And the market is clearly recognizing the value of this hardware integration.
Oh, the numbers are huge.
The white paper provides some really telling market context. It notes that 7.3 million AI smart glasses shipped in 2025.
Right.
And the projection for this year, 2026, is 13.4 million units.
That is a massive jump.
The adoption curve is steepening so rapidly, and I imagine a lot of that is driven by the economics of the hardware itself. The sources state the hardware costs just $799 per device.
I mean, the return on investment calculation there is undeniable.
It's a no-brainer.
When an enterprise weighs a $799 capital expenditure against the millions of dollars a single procedural error or a delayed flight could cost, the adoption basically becomes mandatory.
It achieves what the white paper calls the perfect balance between affordability and life-saving operational enhancement.
Exactly.
But here is where we really need to dig into the technical architecture. Because AI is ubiquitous right now.
It's everywhere.
It's in our phones, it's drafting our documents, it's writing code. So a skeptical listener running a massive enterprise might be wondering, Why can't I just buy those $799 consumer smart glasses, load a generic off-the-shelf consumer large language model into the headset, and achieve the exact same result?
Why do they need EON?
Right. Why does EON AI Ventures need to build a highly specialized proprietary platform for this?
That is the multi-million-dollar question. And it addresses the fundamental flaw of relying on general-purpose AI for industrial applications.
Let's hear it.
EON AI Ventures articulates a very specific philosophy here. Generic AI delivers 80% quality.
Only 80%.
Right. A standard large language model is probabilistic. It simply predicts the next most likely word based on its massive training data.
So it guesses.
Yes. It is inherently prone to hallucination inventing facts that sound totally plausible, but are factually incorrect.
Which is perfectly fine for drafting an email,
Right.
If an AI writes a memo for you and it's 80% perfect, you tweet a sentence, correct a minor hallucination, and hit send. The stakes are incredibly low.
But in high stakes, operations like aviation, energy, or manufacturing, an 80% correct answer is a catastrophic failure.
Oh, completely. If a generic AI hallucinates or guesses on 20% of a safety procedure for a high-pressure valve, well, the facility could explode.
Exactly. High-stakes operations require 100% precision. You cannot crowdsource the maintenance of a commercial jet engine from the general internet.
No, please don't do that.
Right. You need the exact, verified knowledge of the experts who actually built and maintained that specific piece of equipment.
So how does EON fix that?
EON achieves this 100% quality mandate by utilizing a strict retrieval augmented generation architecture, or RA.
Okay, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Let's break that down for the listeners.
Right, so rather than letting the AI freely generate answers from the entire internet, the system bounds the AI entirely within the enterprise data captured during those EON Genesis sessions.
I see. It creates a closed-loop system.
Yes. The AI in the smart glasses is only allowed to pull information from the highly structured, verified digital library created by the company's own 30-year veterans.
So it's deterministic logic layered over the probabilistic AI.
Exactly. If the system does not know the answer based strictly on the captured expert data, it is actually programmed to escalate the issue to a human supervisor rather than attempting to guess.
Ah, that is so smart. That is how you eliminate the hallucination risk and achieve the 100% precision required for industrial compliance.
Yep. That distinction between 80% probabilistic generation and 100% deterministic bounded retrieval is really the technical linchpin of the whole platform.
Yeah, and the white paper highlights that EON AI Ventures didn't just stumble into this architecture.
No, they've been at this a while.
Right. The company builds on 25 years of experience from its leadership at EON Reality, specifically in immersive learning and extended reality or XR solutions.
They've been working on the integration of spatial computing and operational intelligence for over 2 decades.
That deep industry experience really translates into the 2 distinct platform businesses they operate, which address completely different phases of the employee lifecycle.
Yeah, let's look at those. First, there is the Enterprise AI platform. This is the real-time operational tool we've been discussing. The spatial computing overlay and the computer vision verification used by the worker out in the field on the job.
And the second platform is the virtual campus, or virtual compass, which handles the asynchronous side of the equation.
The training side.
This handles scalable training, certification, and knowledge transfer for enterprises, governments, and educational institutions.
Basically, this is the simulation environment where a worker can practice a procedure in a fully immersive virtual reality setting before they ever even touch the physical equipment in the field.
It creates a really comprehensive ecosystem of knowledge transfer. It starts with capturing a tacit knowledge, moves to simulated training in the virtual campus, and then culminates in real-time execution and verification via the enterprise AI platform.
I think the quote from their chairman, Dan Lajuskar, captures the ultimate goal of this architecture perfectly.
What did he say?
He says, "The expertise of a seasoned professional shouldn't walk out the door with their retirement. With EON Field IQ, we're ensuring that 35 years of knowledge doesn't vanish.
Yeah.
It evolves."
It evolves. I love that. It evolves from static, unwritten instinct into an active, scalable digital asset.
Yeah.
This isn't just a defensive maneuver to survive the retirement wave of the baby boomers. What EON is really doing is transforming a massive industrial vulnerability into an unprecedented operational opportunity.
They really are.
By implementing this highly accurate ecosystem, companies are actively creating what the white paper calls a scalable human 2.0 workforce.
Human 2.0.
Yeah. They are building a workforce that, augmented by this AI and spatial computing, is actually safer, faster, and more efficient than the unaugmented generation that came before them.
It's a massive leap forward.
It really is. So let's zoom out and summarize what we've discovered in this deep dive.
Sounds good.
We started with a looming macroeconomic disaster. A $47 trillion brain drain caused by 73 million retiring experts taking their hard-won tacit knowledge out the door.
Yeah.
We've seen how EON Field IQ attacks this crisis with a really rigorous three-step system. First, they capture the expert using AI to dynamically map out a digital brain of associative memory.
Second, they deliver that knowledge hands-free through spatial computing and AI smart glasses directly into the physical environment.
And third, they verify the work in real time using edge-based computer vision to ensure absolute compliance and safety, creating an immutable audit trail.
It covers all the bases.
It really does. I want you, the listener, to think about your own workplace right now. Who is the veteran colleague in your office?
Everyone has one.
Right. How much critical unwritten knowledge currently lives entirely inside the head of just that one person? The next time you are at a retirement party, watching someone pack up their desk and eat that slice of grocery store cake, you won't just see a coworker leaving.
No, you definitely won't.
You will see millions, or across the economy, trillions of dollars walking out the door. And now you'll know exactly the kind of technology the future's deploying to catch it before it disappears.
It is a really sobering realization about the fragility of human capital.
It is.
And, it raises an important, perhaps final philosophical point for everyone to mull over.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we have spent this entire deep dive exploring how unwritten skills, edge case instincts, and decades of muscle memory can be perfectly captured, mathematically structured, and flawlessly projected into the glasses of a complete novice on their very first day.
Right.
If all of that tacit knowledge can be digitized and replicated with 100% precision, well, what exactly makes human expertise human in the workplace of tomorrow?